Hello everybody, welcome to a new tutorial from Sound for More. It's Leo speaking. Today we are going to continue the exploration on progressions from 4Pockets, and we are going to look into how to generate chords manually. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, we are inside the AUM, and as always we create a MIDI channel and an audio channel. And let's load in the audio channel something like Pure Right, which is really a nice piano. Okay, let's load progression as well as a MIDI processor, like so, and let's connect the two, like so. Perfect. Let's test that upright works. Yeah, really nice. Change a little bit to the characteristic of the piano. Okay, perfect. So let's minimize that and hide the keyboard. Okay, so let's maximize progressions. First of all, what I would like to do is to enable the pad preview so that when I click on a pad, the chord will play. Let's leave the key set to C, mode major. We're going to set the freedom to strict so that if you click on mode here, it will only be able to move up a fifth or down a fourth in terms of the circle of fifths, and complexity to basic. And we're going also to activate host sync so that we can play using the AUM controls. Okay, so as we have seen in previous tutorials, you can generate a progression of chords based on the key, the mode, the freedom, and the complexity, clicking on the generate button, clicking and hold on the generate button. So let's try. And as you can see, there is a series of chords which have been populated on the 18 pads. Okay, actually, let's click on the tempo on AUM, double click again on the tempo. Let's increase the tempo to 180 so it will play the progression faster. Okay, so, and this is the progression that is being generated with the settings which I mentioned a moment ago. So let's listen first. Etc, etc. Now you have this button which is called auto. It is on. If you disable that, it will not move automatically to the next chord, so it's nice to have that on. If you are on the last chord, like in first inversion of C, of course, because you have auto on, it will start at the beginning, okay, of the progression. Let's try. And so on and so forth. Now, another way to generate chords is just to click only once on where it says here, generate on this button, and it will open a menu because on the top left side, you have this arrow, that chevron, which means you have an additional menu. So let's have a look at this menu. The first button is random. So you click random and it will generate a new progression of chords, and you can do that as many times as you like. Also, notice that there are some chords which are repeated. So let's see, for example, there is an F here, standard format. There's another one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are repetition, and that is because you have the duplicate button set to on. So if you set that to off and randomize again, it will produce less chords. In this case, only 4 of them, and it will avoid, of course, the duplication of records. So let's click random again and let's keep going. In this case, I have 5 of them. And what you will find is that it will generate no more than 6 because we have freedom down to 0 and also complexity to basic. So practically we'll generate these 2 chords here, plus these 2 here, 4, plus these 2 here, which will make your 6 here, right? And of course, it will use different inversions. So that C1 is on first inversion because, and if you click on the piano roll here, it will show you this edit chord view, and you can see The C chord is in first inversion, so because you would start normally from a C, so the C is moved up, which means it's first inversion. And by the way, if you need more information on theory, just click on the menu again, go to the help menu, and here you find the circle of colors paper by David Collett, which is being recently updated. So if you haven't downloaded, there is a new version which is makes it quite comprehensive. Okay, let's close that help and let's go back to what we were discussing. So, so we have removed the duplication and we have a maximum sync chords which are generated. Now, you could increase the complexity at this point and click on generate, and you will see more codes which are generated. And of course, read the manual or go back to one of the previous tutorial. As you increase the complexity, in this case to low, you start to introduce, for example, cis sus4. And you can see here, there you are. So instead of having a third, which would be an E, we have a 4, which is an F, and therefore, and is also on first inversion. So therefore is a C sus4 first inversion. You also have the 7 here as well, okay, and G7, and so on and so forth. You have a lot of other different chord. For example, the augmented here, so which is really nice. So in this case, you have again on first inversion, so the C is moved up here, as you can see. And instead of having a normal G, it is a G sharp, which means it's augmented. And so on and so forth. And what is interesting is that you can find also diminish. So for example, this chord here, and it's an E diminished. So you have an E and G, and then instead of a B, you have a B flat. And it will be therefore already a minor chord because you have a G instead of a G sharp, and then you have a B flat or an A sharp, which the two combined with the root E will make that a diminished chord. But again, refer to the David Collett document if you want more information. So as you increase the complexity, what you will find is that even when you have duplicates of, it will fill in more different chords or more chords than just the traditional 6 in this case, because I still have freedom down to 0. Of course, again, to re-emphasize the point, by the way, when I change the complexity, you see it goes back to have only one chord, but you could change also the freedom. In that case, you will have more chords which are generated, so you'll add practically another 4 to the 6, which will make 10, and therefore you can see this one is 7, and you keep going, and you will see chord progression which are greater than 6, 7, 8, 9, for example, in this case. Okay, so just bear in mind that and how that works. Okay, so let's go back to strict and let's reset the mode to the normal circle of fifths view, and let's go through other controls. Now let's randomize again, and let's keep the 6 chord progression. Now let's see what the auto reset does. So if you click on it, what it will do is it will play the normal chords. When it gets to the end, it will reverse the playing, and when it goes back to the first chord, it will randomize automatically again, and it will start to play. So let's try. So as you can see, it has reversed the play, and then when it came to C inversion 1, it has actually randomized again the chord progression. So that's how it works. If you press the root, you go back to have only one root chord, the root chord, sorry. If you press next, it will generate a new chord, and you can keep going like this until it says I could not find any more chords, of course, in the sequence. At this point, you can remove the last chord like so. You can add a new one if it allows you to do that, or and so on and so forth. So you can use these next and remove control as you play. So let's randomize this again. Now, let's go to the last chord here, and let's click replace. And I will say, okay, that you can replace it with these suggested chords. And so it says previous, the F original D minor, so I'll go to the A minor. You can see that is being positioned there as well. Now, if you don't want to go through suggested chord, you just click and hold, and then we give you the ability to add a user chord. So in this case, instead of A minor, second inversion, we go for A, and then we can go for sus4, for example, like so. And then you click outside, you've added that chord, replace that chord with a user chord. Similarly, you can append the chord, click on append, and then you choose a chord that you like to append, like so. And then also, if you click and hold, you can add a user chord, which works in a similar way than replacing with a user chord. Okay, so it works a similar way of click and replace, add user chord. Okay, so those are nice controls, of course, that you can use to create a chord progression yourself. Now let's increase the complexity to low. Let's randomize again, and we have a number of chords. And now let's close these. What I want to show you is also, I want to talk a little bit about how progression is done in terms of producing the chords and the relevant movements between chords. So let's click where it says song here and click and hold. And then let's click and hold on add here, so that we have chords which have been added here from the chord progression which is previously generated. Therefore, those become part of your song sequencer. And let's close this for now, and I will explain that in more detail in one of the next tutorial. But let's click on the hamburger menu. Now you have an option which says export song. Let's say export song to Midi. And now we say record now. Okay, it has finished. Now it says that you can drag and drop that icon. So let's move this window down here. Let's double click here under the MIDI channel, and let's add something like Helium from 4Pockets again. Let's open that up. Now let's move this up a little bit more so I can see that icon. So click and drag on that icon, drag up here to the top so we can add the chord progression. We respond yes. Now let's close progression. Let's maximize Helium, and let's change the zoom in. And here we have the sequence of chords which I dragged and copy inside Helium, which is really nice. Now what you can also do is, if you have a program like Dorico that allows you to show score or music sheet, you can go to Media Bay. Let's go to Song, and let's remove remove that one, delete. We don't need that anymore. Let's say export MIDI song, and let's say SFM test. Let's click save. Let's select that. Let's go to File Apps, Export, and then let's say create the document. Okay, now let's move to Dorico, which I already have open here. Let's click on Open and Import File. Let's go to that SFM test. It's loading it up, and there you have it. And this is the track progression, the chord progressions which have been generated from progression itself. And what I wanted to point out is the way that progression is taking care of the movement. You can see from this chord to this one, you have only the C going down to the B, so it's more movement. As you move to the third chord, again, that E stayed the same, the G move up, and then the B move up by a tone, becoming a C. So, and on the next one, that A become an A flat, so minimal movement. So by one semitone, the same on the E here, up by a semitone. And then there is that C moving to a D, therefore a tone or two semitones, and so on and so forth. You can see that the restructure in the ways that the chords actually created, the inversions are actually selected. So I thought that was useful to show you that if you are used to actually read score or music sheet. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I hope you found the tutorial useful with a little bit of theory as well. And as always, see you next time. Bye.